As you know, this is we're gonna be talking about life after sports. About your story and just shedding some light on the transition to playing football and then going into the regular world. So for the people who don't know about you, if you want to give a little brief introduction about who you are and where you're from, and then I could dive into some questions that I have for you as well.
Well, my name is Ray McElrathbey. Of the movie Safety, the movie was based on the things that happened in my life. I'm born in Chicago, raised in Atlanta. I was a former student athlete at Clemson University. I graduated in 3 years with a degree in sociology and a minor in communications, and I went on to pursue my master's degree at Howard University. Um, that's a little about me. I started a foundation, Ray Safety Net Foundation. Looking to help individuals like myself who've been through a couple of different things, who grew up with addicts as well.
All right, all right, all right. Appreciate that. Now it's time to dive into some questions that I have for you. How was life for you growing up?
Oh man, it wasn't no crystal stair, as Maya Angelou would say. It was a task, but I was thankfully guided along with some wonderful individuals that were put in my life. Thanks to God, that helped me matriculate through life and get to the point where I'm at now. But growing up, my mom was addicted to crack cocaine. That was her drug of choice. So I basically was raised with an addict, and that was a process as well. I did a stint in foster care for a little while, in and out of there for a little while, but was able to make it on the other side. I don't have necessarily the worst foster care experience, but anytime when I wasn't with my family, I wouldn't count as the greatest times of my life. But yeah, just a number of different things like that.
Most definitely. How has being in foster care shaped your outlook on life and family?
Uh, well, um, well, I understand that it takes a village as far as raising a kid, and you can gain something from everyone. There are people that put in your life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime, I guess. And so through foster care and just throughout the way I live my life, there have been a lot of people that have been through my life for seasons, and for reasons that I didn't know at the time. But luckily, I was able to find some perspective as I got older to realize that a lot of these people were just there to help me, and coaches would played a very instrumental part in helping me get through all the things that I got through and just being vulnerable.
Okay, most definitely. So how old were you when you first started playing football?
First time I picked up a ball was probably seven. Seven.
7?
Up until that point, I wanted to be a firefighter or an attorney because I always was arguing back in those days. I was still hard headed. Uh, I didn't pick up a ball until I was about 7, 8 years old. For real, and thought about playing seriously. A group of friends that I got with, that was one of the things that they did in the neighborhood. We call it any hop. Basically, catch a tennis ball on any hop, and then you get the bat. And so that was the game I kind of started off with. Baseball was my first game, actually.
Oh wow. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So outside of like you said, outside of football and baseball, did you have any other passions growing up?
Yeah, I hooped. I played with the Atlanta Celtics AAU basketball team.
I know about them, heard about them.
I had a gang of guys come out of our program who played in the NBA, played a lot of college ball. But basketball, football, baseball. I played tennis and I ran track in high school. So,
Okay,
uh,
you did it all.
yeah, I was all over the place. It seemed.
I feel that. So in high school, how was the recruiting process for you um in general, just overall?
I mean, it went pretty well. It wasn't until I was offered a scholarship that I realized I had the opportunity to go to college, because up until that point I had thought about it, never really figured out how I would pay for such a task and things like that. So the recruiting process was fun. I had over 100 offers. I was kind of a little bounce around type. I was a little recruit. Because I was all over the place. Because I committed to Auburn, then I decommitted. I committed to Clemson, then I decommitted. So yeah, I kind of went all over the place, because a lot of times it was I felt like Trump. Whoever had my ear last was the place I was saying I was going. But Clemson was a wonderful place for me. It felt best. It was a family atmosphere, and that's what I gravitated towards.
Okay, so going into Clemson, um, with your childhood and the way you was brought up and everything, being away from your family and the environment that they was growing up in, how was that mentally trying to balance the life at home, at school, as well as when your brother came to come stay with you? How was that for you mentally?
Um, well, my brother wasn't staying with me. It was always on my mind because he and my family in general was just in different situations. So that constantly stayed on my mind. And then at the time, I would be sending my Pell Grant money back or any little money that I could come across doing odd jobs, cutting grass, washing cars, and things like that. So I had always been somewhat in tune with my family at the time because they were living in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Came to stay with me, and they were living in a weekly motel. So, I mean, things weren't the greatest. So I was already helping. And when Famar came to visit, it was just more of a situation of now he's there and I'm worried about him as opposed to him being somewhere else and I'm worried about him. And then I have other siblings that I also, were on my mind as well. But my thought process was, try to get through what I was going through so I could help out.
Okay, okay. So while you're in college and you're playing football, did you have a plan while you was in college for life after football, or was you just specifically just thinking about football at the moment?
I was lying to a bunch of people because you know what I mean. But I would say I was lying because people ask me, "What's your plan B?" And then I say
Yep.
whatever it is, whether it be personal trainer or something. Nothing that I actually cared about as much as I did with football, and nothing that I actually weighed or put the time and effort to develop like I did into football. Because I would think if I wanted to do something, and I was saying I was serious about being something else, then I would have put that same effort that I put in with football, or with the same I did in sports in general, and the career choice that I decided. But it was never that. So one of my, I guess not necessarily regret, but one of the things I probably should have done better was actually had a reliable plan B, something that I believed in, as well as football.
Okay, okay. My dad on here, he dropped the question. He said, "Where did you get the hunger and drive from to overcome your challenges that you face?"
I knew if I quit, shit, it wasn't gonna get better. I knew that. So quitting for me was dying because nothing was gonna change if I gave up. And
Exactly.
the fear of this always, my situation at the time always being the case was one of the things that kept me moving forward because I knew I didn't want to stay where I was,
Yeah.
and I wanted more things. But then the truth be told, it was also getting outside of the neighborhood that I grew up in. Because in Atlanta, it's wrapped around by a highway called 285.
Hmm.
Similar to LA and other places where you have people who live inside the city and never been outside that. Well, for Atlanta it's 285. Well, for LA I would say, it's guys that live in LA but never been to the beach.
Hmm.
And never being outside of your atmosphere, outside of that ecosystem that can get you trapped in it because then you won't strive to get more things because you'll think where you're at is what's supposed to be. Until you get out, then you understand that wait, life ain't like this everywhere, and I can do more things, and people are out here doing great things. So
I
you know,
definitely, yeah, I definitely agree with that. One thing I like to tell, people that are younger than me or the younger generations coming up after me is that you only know what you're exposed to. So if we're able to expose these athletes and younger kids to different opportunities outside of football, outside of their prospective sport, it makes it so much better for them once it's time for them to finally hang up the shoes or make that transition to life after sports.
well, I tell everybody, or at least I've been preaching in my most recent interviews, that I talk about the depression that happens after, uh,
Hmm.
as the ball deflates, because a lot of us are not prepared for that life after that, and a lot of us are part of teams. Similar to like being in the army, you go from being a part of this large group, this band of brothers, and then you're alone again in life, and it's not something that everybody can deal with lightly. It's not something I dealt with very easily because it was one thing to have a bunch of guys right there behind you. Like, I got your back no matter what. Guys that are willing to fight for you. And
Exactly.
questions later, like, because I always make a joke about, you know what I mean? Because I'll get in fights and be like, what were we fighting about? And it's because you're that much of a brother that it doesn't matter what we going
Yeah.
at, we together. And so it's that camaraderie that you don't get in regular life that you get from being a part of a team and part of a group like that.
So you shed a little bit light on the depression that you faced. How did you deal with that, and like how did you, or what did you do to like necessarily try to overcome that depression or get through it?
Become productive. I mean, because the depression happens because, and truth be told, you set out, you say you have a dream in life. I'm gonna make it to the NFL. I'm gonna make it to the NBA, or MLB, or whatever professional league. That's the goal. And so anything short of that is losing, technically.
Yep.
If you think about it, if that was the goal for most people, and but in reality, like if I take my case in situation, I was able to get through high school. I was able to make it through college. I went to college for free. I was able to be able to take care of my brother and the rest of my family during this process. And none of that had to do with the NFL.
Yeah.
So if I take a moment and think about all the things that I was able to accomplish, then I did a lot in my time in before not making to the NFL. There was a lot of things that I accomplished in my life that came short of the NFL, but I can still be prideful about. And most people need to take that time and just to understand the things that they did accomplish. Like you made it through. Most make it through if you're an athlete. A lot of times you make it through without a prison sentence, and so that's something you can congratulate about. You
Hmm.
never been arrested. I've never been in jail, or just some certain other things. Where I got a 3.0 or a 2.5 or whatever your goal was. Like there was other things that you did accomplish, although you didn't make it to the NFL or the professional league that you can be proud of. And most guys don't understand that initially, and I didn't either.
Okay. Okay. So going back to college, with you, your brother coming on campus, you taking care of your brother, and he's living with you every day, and you becoming basically like his parent before you became the legal guardian. How difficult was it for you to necessarily turn on the parent switch, but also being a big brother while you're still in the process of becoming a man yourself? How was that for you?
It was a process. It was a lot of things that I had to learn, and luckily, I had mentors there who had been through the process of raising kids, and that lended a hand in teaching me how to go about what I was embarking on. Um, but it was a bunch of advice, just a bunch of people lending, if nothing else, but just telling me what I could do better, and me listening and me being open enough to understand that I didn't know anything. Um, and that I think that was the thing that helped me the most with everything else that was going on with me and my brother. And I always would say it was an interview I did back then. It'd be like the brother question would be like, how you feel today, and then the parent question would be like, okay, how you feel about living here? It's like your true emotions. Like, are you satisfied with what's going on? Would you like to see something else change? And I wouldn't care about all that stuff if I was just as a brother. Like, what I mean, you better come on.
Yeah.
Not really try to worry about your emotional well being as much as a brother as opposed to being a parent.
Okay. So when the Clemson football community and the Clemson community in general, when they opened up and allowed, for you and Famar to become a part of their family and for them to, pitch in wherever is needed, how did that make you feel on the inside?
I mean, I felt wonderful. It was great. Just knowing that you're not alone again. Is to know that there are other people out there that are willing to help you and see your story as an inspiration. And that was one of the things that was very humbling to me, and that I'm honored about to this day. That others seem to be inspired by the things that I went through, and it lets me know that I didn't go through all this stuff in vain. Like there was a lot of life lessons that I can go on and preach and teach about, that I otherwise wouldn't be able to if I didn't go through the things that I went through.
Okay, okay. And I know, being in college, people go to college, you know, you want to party, you want to hang out with the girls, you want to hang out with the guys, you want to do all of that. How was you able to balance that? Or if you wasn't able to balance that, how was that affecting you in like your everyday life that you thought college was going to be like?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I did my fair share of foolishness. Um, as the people who attended these wonderful universities well know, but I had to be careful about what type of fun I had because I remember the first time I went out and I didn't do anything, but I had to go to the president's office the next day, and
Mm.
they had it broke it down to me like, hey, you're the face of the university for this current time. So during the time back in those days, it was like, yeah, you're the face of the university right now. So you need to be careful because people are going to come at you certain type of ways, and that the things that you do reflect on our university, and you're not just representing yourself. You represent yourself. You represent the university. You represent your family. And all I did was go out. I didn't do anything, but I adjusted the way that I had fun. So typically, what I would do is I have a shindig, as I would call it, or a kickback, not
I,
necessarily a
I
party.
I know about those.
Yeah, not necessarily a party, but this is an event where people will be. This is a real chill situation, and this is, I guess, the times before camera phones were very prevalent, so everything
Uh-huh.
was recorded, luckily. And so I have fun. Typically, I travel with a bunch of the frats. I was friends with the Qs, the Kappas, the Alphas. So anytime they go on a road trip, you know what I mean, you would have thought I was pleasant because I was right there, side by side at the
Yep.
park doing whatever it was I needed to do to have fun. And so I had good times as well as being a parent, because there was other times I just had to be at the house because I didn't have a baby.
Hmm.
And people might wonder why I'm where I'm at and where's Famar was the question.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that. I was like, "Where's Faymont? Or did he tag along for just a
Yeah.
couple of those kickbacks?"
Yes, and typically I had to send him off somewhere, or he was staying with my coaches for a night and their families.
Hmm.
They were very helpful in that. They were, I guess, they wanted me to have a little freedom, for the most part, because they understood the task that I was taking on. So they tried to look out as much as possible to let me have a dual life, and that's kind of how I had to lead it, a dual life.
Okay, okay. So, becoming the legal guardian, you know, of Famar, and watching the movie, that conversation that you had with your mom was very inspirational. How was that conversation for you? Because I know being in college and in a situation like that, that's a very hard conversation for someone to have with
It
the.
was a hard conversation simply because now the thing about the movie, that when the conversation happened in the movie is not when it happened in real life.
Okay.
See, we had that conversation before Famar came to stay with me.
Ah.
Slightly after, well, before he was there permanently,
Yep.
because the fact that he was visiting and I decided that I would keep him, then we had to have that conversation. In the movie, it happened towards the end, but in the real life, it happened more in the beginning.
Okay.
And I had been through similar situations because I was raised by my coaches that I played with, and so they took guardianship over me, and it was a process that I was familiar with because of how I came up. And
Yep.
so it wasn't necessarily an easy conversation, but it was a conversation that I had seen done before, so it wasn't as daunting as one might think.
Okay. Okay. So, now going into, you know, life after sports, or no, before we go to life after sports, once you graduated from college, did you try to go through like the NFL process with the draft, the combine, things of that sort, or?
I did once I finally finished playing, because I went to Howard right after Clemson.
Yeah, 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 yep.
I played ball up there, and I ended up tearing my ACL. But anyway, uh, but I did do some tryouts. I tried out with the Bills. I tried out with the Lions. I did one of the regional combines as opposed to the actual combine, and just didn't work out for me. So, but I kept at it for a little while. Now I just play flag football, and
Yeah,
then,
yeah, yeah. Stay active, stay active.
yeah, you know what I mean? That it.
Yep.
got to scratch that itch.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So for athletes out there that you know that are going through the transition to life after sports, what are some words of encouragement or some inspiration that you would tell them about finding a new love or finding a purpose outside of sports? Because, like you said before, people just identify themselves as I'm a football player. I don't know anything else. So, what are some words of encouragement you would give to those athletes?
Try to find out what else you can do before football is over. Because if you wait till football is over and try to figure out, then you're already behind the eight ball. Um, and then just as they tell people in life, try to make something that you're passionate about your career. Like if you're passionate about watching kids, you might need to be a babysitter. If you're passionate about washing dishes and sweeping floors, you can be a custodian. And not to denigrate any of these positions, but you got to find out what your passion is and work towards it. Is my best advice, because actually, truth be told, I didn't find anything that I was excited as excited about other than helping people until this year.
Oh, okay.
Always been into service, but as people in service will tell you, that there's not a whole bunch of money in service. It's not.
Yeah.
You can, if you're very passionate about, the money will come, and that's what I would tell everybody. But investing for me became like, it has become my new favorite pastime. It's the thing that I like just as much as football. I can watch it just like I'm watching the game.
Yep.
Um, but I didn't figure that out to this year. And so I can tell you that it will be a process. That anything worth having is worth working for. And chances are you're going to do a lot of work. So whatever it is that you decide that you want to do, just work hard at it, and eventually it should work out for you.
Okay. My dad, he commented. He said, "How are you helping people now, specifically?"
Well, I mentor a bunch of little kids, not a bunch, but like three guys that I'm helping out right now. And I started a foundation, Ray Safety Net Foundation, at www.rayraySafetyNet.com. And I'm looking to help individuals and families that came through life like I did, not necessarily in the best way, but still have the good heart and wanted to be better and wanted to do better. And I'm looking to help those people and those families that are doing that. And I have one family that I'm working with currently, and at this current moment, we're just trying to get them basic needs:
Yep.
clothing, housing, trying to work with social services, Department of Health, things like that, just to get them basic needs. And my foundation will be looking to help people out with their basic needs, as well as teaching them things like financial literacy and educating them on other things in order to teach them how to fish on their own, in a sense.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. We definitely have to, partner up, or maybe, just keep in touch after this about some things that I have,
Almost
in the works.
anybody who's watching this, I personally reach out to anybody who wants to join me and help me. And my thought process is to keep everybody informed, try to be fully transparent about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and to know why I'm doing some of the things that I'm doing. So my plan is to basically, almost in a sense of a podcast or like a reality show,
Yep.
show the families that I'm helping, and how I'm helping these families, and the things that we're going through and the things that I went through, sharing the things that I went through as well, to assist people. And I'm building the village, a team of
I like that.
individuals focused on changing the world. And so anybody out there who wants to join me, I'm welcome. Everyone, and we all can help in some shape, form, or fashion. We're realizing with Zoom that you doesn't always have to be in the same place to actually be able to help. Because if you can lend an hour or two to somebody, oh, that'd be cool. Like I'll appreciate that. Like, yeah, I'm gonna call you, or if I have an individual, a young man or a young lady who feels like they're in a career that you're currently in, be like, hey, a little words of advice, some words of wisdom. Could you possibly help them out as they
Most
go through
definitely.
that? So, yeah, that's what I'm looking to do.
Yep. Someone said, "How can we make the donations to help the family?"
Well, basically, it's a donate button on RayRaySafetyNet.com. And you can donate through there. Feel free to hit me up on Facebook, and I could possibly shoot you a link, Instagram or whatever. And I'll be sure to get back with you. And not just for me to take donations, but for me, if there was a way I could be of service to anyone, if I can help out, I'm always looking to put that effort in, because I believe opportunity comes from effort. So I'm willing to do the work
Yes,
and
sir.
things that I want to get done.
All right. And before we wrap up, my last question would be, what are some keys to success that you like to live by that keeps you going on an everyday to day basis?
Say again?
What are some keys to success that you like to live by that keeps you going on an everyday to day basis?
It's a quote I heard not too long ago, but I always keep repeating. If in order for me to be free, I have to be me. So I try to live and try to be the best version of myself. It's something I strive to live by, and to put out that energy in the world that I want to come back to me. And so, as a man thinketh, uh, therefore you are. So I try to stay optimistic and find the silver lining in everything, because I've learned in life that even through some of the most traumatic times of my life were some of the better situations I could ever have been in, and they allowed for me to make it to this point and have a story to tell, and have my testimony, as people would say. And so I would like for everybody to understand that whatever you're going through is temporary. And that's what I've always believed, and to stay optimistic, because it was one thing I used to do. I used to tell people I hate washing dishes, but I love laundry, and there's no reason for me to hate washing dishes and love laundry other than me saying it. Like,
Yeah.
all I had to say is that I love washing dishes, and if I tell myself enough, eventually
You're gonna
I'll
start washing dishes.
think about it. If you can take your time, and especially for athletes, if you think about it, you can go across the middle and get knocked the hell out of, or you can run 100 sprints, or bear crawl 500 yards. Like, there's things in life that, I mean, that are a lot less strenuous, that are a lot easier. And if you can go through these other things, and you can do them, with all that passion, with all the everything in you. And it doesn't make any sense, because football outside the lines is stupid. Where else would you go run into each other? Like, I'm slapping at you, I'm trying to, what I mean, tackle you. But
Hmm.
if anywhere outside the lines, football is stupid. Uh, so I like to let people understand that, hey, if you can do that, and in between those lines, all the things that you can do outside the lines should be cake, because it's just how the world is. You're
Oh,
prepared.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know, you're a busy man. You got things prepared. You got things in your schedule. But I
I'm
like to
good.
say thank you for coming on here.
I got like 5 good 10 minutes. I'm chilling. Nah.
Oh, all right. Oh, all right. All right. All right. Here's another question.
What's up?
So when you found out that Disney, wanted to do the movie about you, like, how did that make you feel? And like, what was that process like?
Okay, when I first heard about it, I didn't care. It wasn't important to me.
Oh, really?
Because, I mean, the first time people came to me about doing a movie about my life was in '06. By the time Disney came around, it was 2018. So I had signed 3 other contracts with nothing, just the front end. Like, okay, well, we're gonna make a movie, and then nothing happened, because they typically get 18 months to 2 years to follow through on your initial option, as they would call it. And so for years, a decade, then nothing happened. So even when Disney came along, I was like, oh, cool, they want to do a story, they want to do a movie. Okay, we'll see. And then I signed it, and then 9, 10 months later, still nothing. Um, Around the 12th month, there was some chatter,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but still nothing. Around, I think, because I had an 18-month deal. So around month 14, 15, it was like, hey, they're really considering it. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Minding my business. I'm at work, hanging out, chilling. I worked at a homeless outreach program called Hopics in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And I'm a family outreach specialist and a crisis manager. So I'm sitting there, I'm chilling at work, and I get the email. And then it was like they greenlit the movie. And then, and, I text the producer. I'm like, "Are you serious?" Shoots me back a thumbs up, and then I call him like, and then he was like, "Yeah, yeah, they actually, that I'm serious. Like, it's happening. It's a go. Like, it's a go." He was like, "Yeah." And I couldn't help it. I started crying at work. It was just one of those things. I couldn't help but cry because at my job, I had been through. You go through so much. We have about 50 people in the lobby when we get there, and we have 3 slots or 2 slots, and so that's it. And then everybody else has to figure it out. And so you
Yeah.
got to call the intake process. And during the intake process, basically, people got to tell you everything that they've been through. So
Mm-hmm.
you got all your struggles, all the things that you're going through, so I can possibly see where I can step in and help. And but a lot of times you're in a position where you're helpless, or because you can't do anything for these people, and you don't have anywhere for them to go. But then they just shared all their drama with you, and so now through self disclosure, people become close. So the more I learn about you, the closer I feel to you, and so they
Absolutely.
kind of they sold out to me. They got to tell me everything because, and then if I know some things I could possibly help, and they're doing this so I could help them, and then at the end of the conversation, I got to be like, um, I see what I can do. I see what I call, and then it's like, damn. But they still, all their stuff is in the lobby.
Yep.
You got 2 kids and all their stuff in the lobby, and they trying to figure out where they can go next. And you can hope that you can find them, get them a hotel voucher or things like that. Section A is overrun. It was just a tough time all around. And so for me to have that good news and all that bad news is made me cry. But that was kind of the process to explain it and not sound so pessimistic.
Nah, you good. You good. I'm gonna open it up to the audience a little bit if they have maybe 1 or 2 questions to ask. So anyone, if you have a question, go ahead, drop it, and then he'll answer it.
I seen the main coach of Clemson said I'd probably have guaranteed by the wide receiver starting this season. Somebody been recruited by Clemson, it says, I think. A young
Oh
David.
yeah, I see.
Hey, what up? What up?
Well, while we wait for those questions,
How
someone said, "How's your mom?"
she crazy as all get out, but nah, she's one. She's doing well. As I would say with all addicts, it's a day-to-day process. I try to never get too far ahead of myself and take every day as it comes. And today I spoke with her. She's doing well. It's actually my mother's birthday today, ironically. So
Oh,
um,
happy birthday to her, bat. Happy birthday.
I have to go. Her and my auntie Vanita. Let me mention that before my auntie see this and be like, "So you can't say nothing about me." But yeah, she's doing well. And then it says, "Will the movie be coming out on DVD?" Oh, with Disney with their platforms, they big on keeping their stuff with their stuff, and it might, it could happen, but as of right now, there hasn't been any talk about a release of DVD. Did you really date Casey? We loved her character, Casey. She was a young lady. She was a composite of several young ladies that I dated at the time. So she's.
Several.
Now, I didn't date them all
Yeah.
but just my dating life during that time. And so she was a composite. She was made up of a few chicks. Not to say that I had a whole bunch of chicks I was running around with, but she was made up of a couple people. And so there is some justice to who she is, but then there's some opposite parts that not necessarily like her job description and things like that. That wasn't necessarily true.
They said, "How did your mom respond to the movie?"
I pray to God that she accepts it and likes it as much as I did. And there was a reason I didn't appreciate it as much. And then it wasn't until I read some bad reviews about it that I felt I was swayed in the way in which, because I read a review that said they loved the movie, but felt like because it was Disney, the part of my mother's addiction that people need to see, and just some other things that happened in my life that people need to see. This is someone that knew me. Um, were were more important to see on the screen, but because of it being Disney, that some things couldn't be covered.
Yeah.
And I say that, and that one of that reason that bothered me, or one is the reason one of the critics stick with me because my mom went through a whole movie as an addict,
Mm,
unfortunately, and she's much more than that, and that's my
yeah,
mom. So to watch her have to go through a whole movie, although they're sharing part of my life. I mean, they're highlighting me, but not necessarily her.
yeah,
It's tough for me to think about how she might feel about it because I know to me she will only say great things, and I know in her heart of hearts she would want to feel wonderful. But I do sometimes think that it's unfortunate the way that she had to go through the movie. Although there was a small snippet at the end, telling that she overcame things like that, but it's not as the same as being seen throughout the movie.
yeah.
To have changed your life and have turned around your life, and so to let the world know on six continents I've been contacted from thus far, um, that hey, that you with drug addiction is a lot for one person to put out there into the world, and I appreciate her for allowing me to do that, and thank her and love her, and I pray that she is doing okay with everything that is going on because it's overwhelming for me in the sense that people are coming at me with praise. So I'm not exactly sure if she's getting that same reception. But
Yeah.
even I don't imagine anyone saying anything derogatory to her. But just the fact that she has to live with the world knowing your issues because there are gentlemen in my neighborhood that I grew up in that used to fight you. You stare at a guy like, "Why are you looking at me?"
Mm-hmm.
He explained it as, "You think I see you," and most people don't want to be seen in their pain. And so it's the fact that you're seeing someone in pain, they think you're staring at them in their pain, and nobody wants to be seen while they're hurting. And I just pray that she's not in that place where she's being seen and she's hurting. And yeah, that's I just hope that she's doing okay with it.
All right, this is the last question that we're gonna take. How has the movie impacted you in your family life?
Oh man, I'm all over the place with it because I'm real empathetic. So I feel the world a lot of the times to a detriment. And so I think the pressure of it all is a lot for my family to deal with, to be honest. Um, because I'm being celebrated in this whole process. And it's a lot for me, but I'm being celebrated. So, but a lot of the people are looking at them, and then they be like, "Well, why you not like your brother? Like, okay, your brother." And it's almost like I'm casting a shadow that I'm forcing them to stand in. And it's not that I wouldn't want to do great things in life, but I always wonder, how they feel with everything that's going on because it's a lot to deal with. Because one of the things that take away from some of the guys that I grew up with, and I realize that it might be hard because they be like, okay, you can tell your story and the things that you went through, and you be like, well, you grew up with Ray Ray. I mean, Ray Ray made.
Mm-hmm.
Why you can't make it out? And I say that to say that just because Ray Ray made it out, yes, that means you got a good chance, but it doesn't happen the same way for everybody.
Exactly.
For a lot of times where it could have been the other way for Ray Ray. I had an elementary school teacher that said, "You're gonna be the worst. You're gonna be the best at being the worst or the best. Either way, I see you doing the best thing. Where you being the best at it. So you can, depending on which side of the fence you decide, it's on you." But there were times where I was on the wrong side of the fence, and people didn't see me as the beacon of light or the ray of hope. I was more, a ray of, and I was foolish. But I always wonder about individuals that came up with me, my family, and everybody else in the world who who see my story or see my life as inspirational, but then feel like they can't strive to do the things that I've done simply because they don't. They'll tell themselves that, oh, well, I'm not a D1 athlete,
Yeah.
or I wasn't blessed with being tall, or I'm not tall, but I'm 5'11". But still, it's just certain things that hinder them from making it to where they would strive to be. And I can tell you that if you continue to push forward, quitting is dying. So don't quit. Continue to strive to be the best you can be. And you can't be free unless you're you. So be the best version of you. And that's what like I said, I've been striving to do.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, and I'm definitely, praying for your family, and so is everyone else through, everything that's going on and things of that sort. So like I said, once again, thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. Let's keep in touch, and have a good night. And tell your mom I say happy birthday.
I appreciate you all. Appreciate everyone who's watching. Thank you again, and I look forward to doing great things with everybody. So feel free to hit me up if you want to join my village. Let's change the world together. Appreciate you all.
All right.